A tremendous amount of pressure on John Rahm. John hit a great shot in there too, to 15 feet, and you know, those are the kinds of shots that experienced players that have won lots of times and have been through stressful pressure situations and have performed. Those are the kinds of shots that great players hit, and that's exactly what Joel did coming down the stretch. He knew exactly what he needed to do, and obviously Brandon just hit a 52 in there and was a great shot. And at that point, we could breathe a little bit, but not until John missed that putt. It was a great match.
Was it good or bad that you faced ASU in this round?
I don't know that there was a, you know, I don't think it made any difference to us. Illinois and ASU, what's kind of gone under the radar screen is that those two teams are the two most improved teams in college golf this spring, period. Mike Small's done a great job with Illinois, and Tim's done a great job with Arizona State. And my hats off are to that team and to Tim and the staff. They've done a phenomenal job to get that. Look, you guys have been around this for a while. You know that any team that makes the Final Eight here is good enough to win, good enough to beat any team, and good enough to win the championship. And that was part of my message last night when we were calling it a day. I told the guys, look, ASU is here. You've seen how, as the springs evolved, how they've become one of the best teams in the country. You just have to know that there is nothing here that's going to be easy, and that's exactly what happened.
He said that possibly they had an advantage over maybe other 6 teams just because they faced you,
yes.
They had zero pressure.
Yes,
Did
absolutely.
You guys feel that on the first tee?
Well, look, they're very familiar with us. You know, we've played with them a couple times, and I think that familiarity works for the team that is the challenger as opposed to the one that's standing up there at the top. And you could sense in their players, they really felt that they knew that they'd been playing well. They knew they had a real shot at this. I mean, as I watched these guys on 1, 2, and then especially 3, because I saw everybody come through on 3, and their sense of purpose was unbelievably strong. And I told every one of our guys, man, you just better take a look at your opponent and know that they're not gonna stop until you beat them, because they're not going to give it to you, and they didn't give it to us. I mean, Joel's opponent made a 20-footer on 17 to force the final hole. I mean, you could look across the match. I mean, John Rahm played a tremendous match. Brandon played great today, and John pushed him all the way. Michael Weaver, I mean, you know, Michael's 2 up and seemingly in total control, and then all of a sudden he's down. And you know, in all honesty, since we don't play match play, other than what we see in in the US Am and the Western Am, getting staggered like that and then getting off the turf and fighting back, it's a good sign for us, tomorrow and hopefully Sunday if we get there.
I was just going to say, you guys have been on world beater mode since September.
Yep.
What did it feel like to be vulnerable for the first time?
Well, I mean, it was, I'm not going to tell you, it was an uneasy feeling. When you've gone through the season that we have and you've lost to 3 teams all year, I mean, think about that. How many times have we been in this position? I mean, almost 0. And that was back in January. Okay, and then and we did lose at ASU by a shot, but Weave didn't play. He was at Augusta. And so, I knew how I felt. And I sensed a little bit from the guys that they wanted ASU to go away, and they just wouldn't, okay? ASU kept saying, hey, look, we're not going anywhere. You're going to have to knock us out. And it got right down to the final hole, the final putt, before we could do it. I mean, it was tough stuff today, as tough as anything we've had in a long time. And but as I said, it will help us going forward. Whoever we play, Illinois or Texas, who cares? Let's go play. We live to fight and live to play another day, and that was the goal, and that's where we are.
What's really worked for your team in terms of your depth? I mean, each one of these guys can be your #1 player winning a tournament.
Yeah.
Each one of them can win a tournament, have gone and won tournaments, and amateur and in NCAA. Just talk about your depth.
I think that's one of the reasons that this team is as dangerous as it is in match play. You really can't say, okay, they've got a weakness at 3, a weakness at 5. I was up last night a little uncomfortable at 2 a.m. and I'm
West
running
Coast time or
through.
East Coast time?
I've lost track of that too. I have no idea what time it is right now. And I'm looking at our numbers, and I see Michael Kim's at 70.1 and Michael Weaver's at 70.9. So you've got 0.8 of a shot between 1 and 5, at least numerically. So when you have that, you know that it puts the pressure on the other teams, because they've got to play all 5 guys. And if they give up 1 or 2, what are the chances that they're going to be able to beat the other 3? Maybe they can even take 2 out of 3. But they've got to win 3 out of 5 against guys that are all averaging 71.0 or better. Okay, and that's tough to beat. That is really tough to beat. And that's what got us through today. There's no doubt. You look at the guys that won. Okay, Max was expected to win. I mean, Tim kind of sacrificed, at number 3 a little bit. But hey, he had Max. What was 1 up on 13? Okay, and I'm sitting there saying, "You've got to be kidding me!" And I look around, and he's, they're birdieing each other. He made birdie on 12. But that was the steadiness of these guys, and I think that's been the real hallmark of this team all year, that we've had 5 guys that have been able to play unbelievably great golf almost every round. If there's a little glitch somewhere else, we're picking guys up. Michael Weaver, interesting stat for you guys. Michael Weaver's a stat nut, and so we were at the airport up in Pullman, and he said, "Coach, do you have any idea what our first round average score is, first score that we take and that we count?" And I said, "Michael, it's got to be somewhere under par." And he said it's 67.5. So if that's your average score, then you know that these guys can put up some really good numbers. The other thing that's interesting, Michael said that, and I didn't remember this, we haven't had a round in the 80 all year. So when you've got that small amount of variability, then you know you're going to keep the pressure on, and that's what we were able to do today.
Would you say that because all 5 players are so good that helps, push each other to do better? And is it kind of like is there a lot of in-house competition between them?
Unbelievable amount of competition, and it is no coincidence that Michael Weaver, Brandon Hagee, and who am I forgetting here? Weave, Hagee, and
Kimchi.
No, not Kimchi. Weave. Those 3 guys. Yeah, Max, thank you. Yeah, it's no coincidence that those guys have been together for 4 years. They've been to 4 NCAA championships. They've all played in multiple U.S. amateur championships. They've all been a part of 25 victories at least out on college golf. So these guys have been through that. But if you watch them practice, they're like brothers. But they practice so hard, and they're in competition. I don't care whether it's putting contests, short game contests, 5-iron contests, and they're pushing each other all the time. And that's part of what makes a great team. A wonderful question, and right on. Okay, and it's fun to watch, because if you were able to look statistically over the 4 years and watch their scores go boom, 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 and see this progression, you'd just say, that's got to be one of the reasons it's worked the way it has. No preference. We've seen Texas, and we haven't. I don't know that we've seen Illinois. We've seen Texas 3 or 4 times, and like ASU, we've beaten them. But it's match play, and that's the quirky part of this. It's one damn day. Okay, you play an entire season. You go all the way back to September 7th, 8th, and 9th. Okay, and you play 54 holes in some, whether it's 2 days or 3 days. Pac-12s, it's and you come out one day. And one of the things that I was thinking of as the round was ending, about 12, 13, 14, when things started to close in again, I don't think it's any coincidence that the team that was medalist has never won this championship. I don't think there's any coincidence in that at all. The pressure to be the #1 seed and to play as well as the guys do, to take that top spot. I mean, you guys heard what I said yesterday. We're going to enjoy this for 2 hours, and then we're going to try to regroup. Well, this one ended about 30 seconds after this one, because we've got to get ourselves back and ready to go again tomorrow. But the pressure on that is really tremendous. And having the bullseye, as you mentioned earlier, having the bullseye on us since mid-September, I don't know that that's taken a toll, but, you can't help but feel some of that.
Max continued his strong play today.
Yes.
What's really been working for him?
Well, I mean, I think that what I've said a couple of times is he's really settled on his plan through the Walker Cup. There was a lot of uneasiness with him psychologically about what he was going to be doing as soon as school was out. Was he going to turn pro? You know, agents were all, I mean, most of them went through me, thankfully, but you couldn't help trying to help Max through this. So there was no question that he was struggling with a lot of this. And so when I give Jim Hayard some credit on this from Titleist FootJoy Cushnet, Max and I talked. Jim pretty much doubled up on what I had suggested about enjoying the rest of the season. All this is going to work itself out over time. And Max came back from spring break, and that's basically what he said. You know, Coach, look, I want to enjoy the rest of this. I've got, you know, 6-8 weeks with my team and really my brothers, and we know what we've done and we know what's out there for us, and so I want to be a part of it and I want to enjoy it, and Lord knows he's enjoyed it ever since. But no doubt about that, no doubt. Getting psychologically settled is really important, and boy, when he plays, he can really play, as you guys have seen.
On a slightly different note, you mentioned today, like, match play comes down to like one day.
Yes.
I would say Texas A&M felt a little bit of that yesterday. I know you, obviously your team was outside the drama yesterday, but did you discuss any of that with your team last night?
Oh, sure, yeah. I mean, Max was in a couple groups that were under question. We have all of our guys, all the guys on this team are very fast. We've had a couple slow players over the years, but not for maybe the last 5-6 years. So, and in all honesty, I make it a point. I make it an issue, significant issue. I mean, when we go through qualifying, if I have a group that's a hole and a half or anywhere close to 2 holes, I'll give them 4 or 5 holes to catch up. And if they don't catch up, they know that Coach will take care of business. And usually that means running the stadium. Yeah, I'm serious about that. We hold the kids accountable for that, and that's a big stadium. Now, we haven't had anybody have to do that for a while because they know that, and it's amazing how quickly they catch up. So I wasn't really involved with some of the rulings as much as the drama of yesterday. All I can say is it's really unfortunate to see what A&M went through, and I don't know enough, yay or nay, to say it was the right decision or the wrong decision. I feel really bad for JT and his players because you play all year and you think you make it by a shot, and then all of a sudden you wind up in a playoff and you wind up losing by 1. And I wish there had been some other way to resolve it because on the course they had earned it, and it's too bad. But we play by rules, and golf's a game of rules, and so that's how it worked.
Is there a trickle-down effect, you think? I think they're trying to make a stand this year.
There's no question that, you read the article by Jaime Diaz in Golf World. If you guys ever tuned to anything, you had to have read that. I mean, look, you can point at college golf all you want, but the reality is it starts at the top. I mean, they've given 1 penalty since 1996. What are they looking at us for? Okay? And, there's no doubt that within our conference, we've set up a number of guidelines. We've done away with honors. We've moved guys from greens to tees very quickly, and I give the Pac-12 credit for really speeding up play in the tournaments. The bigger the fields, the more difficult it is to get courses around. The longer the courses, you get this, and you get 7,300 yards, and you've got 7,300 yards. You can play longer than 6,900. It's just going to happen. So you could ask the question. Was the time at 4:48 a fair number? And I don't know that was a fair number. I know that a number of us at the coaches meeting with the officials, we all thought that was not enough. We had 4:48 at Palouse, at Pullman. But that course was much easier. It was more difficult to walk, but in terms of play of the game, it was much easier, much faster. I mean, we were playing in 4:35, 4:40, but you're not going to get this here. So, it's a legitimate question, and, but if those are the rules, then you better know that that's what's going to happen, because this game is a game of rules. Okay?
Y'all played here in September.
Yes.
Do you think that helped you coming in?
Absolutely. Tremendously.
Because I know Max's scores improved.
Tremendously. We had a game plan coming in. We'd seen the golf course, the whole location. I've been opposed to the pink preview forever, because it gives those teams playing in that event way too much of an advantage. You know, it worked for us, all right?
Now you're one of those teams.
It worked for us, but I'm glad to see that it's gone. In equity to college golf, I'm glad to see that it's gone. There were times when we didn't play in the preview, and it really made, now when we won at the Homestead in 04, we didn't play before, so, you know, it was pretty much a wash, but I'm glad the preview's gone, and I think it's much fairer, much better situation now. Okay? Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.